Right off the top, my makeup job on my right eye, courtesy of the left hand of Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Welcome once again to Culture Clash. I'm Chet Kopic, joined by
Catherine Saxon.
And the Clash, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Athens Motors on Waukegan Road over in Morton Grove. Stop by to see cars that you are just simply not going to see anyplace else. Well, it lasted 72 days.
Could you believe it took so long?
Yeah, because Cher and Greg Allman lasted a grand total of 9 days.
All right, so 72 days. She filed for divorce. The wedding, I just want you to know, cost $17 million. She got paid $15 million for filming the 4-hour special with E! She also got $2 million to release their wedding photos. So, cha-ching, cha-ching. Apparently, the whole fight between them was that she wasn't willing to move to Minnesota. But I'm thinking that they would have had this discussion pre-wedding. But how embarrassing.
Why wouldn't you want to move to Minnesota? What's wrong with you, Kim? Here's what's interesting to me. From the standpoint of your generation.
Okay.
She's got a great butt. She's iconoclastic. She thinks out of the box.
That's only from the standpoint of my generation.
She's outrageous. So you know what? I think rather than this harming the brand of Kim Kardashian, it's going to be a boon. It's going to be a boost for everything she's got by way of her product line. This is going to help Kim Kardashian.
Okay, no publicity or any publicity is good publicity?
Absolutely.
Well,
to a point.
We'll see. Lindsay Lohan reportedly is getting paid $1 million to pose naked for Playboy. I don't know who would care to see her. Apparently our cameraman, Corey, would like to see this. He's going to be one of the only people to purchase it, in my opinion.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate her necks?
I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. But not worth $1 million. I wouldn't rate them.
Well,
that.
I think maybe
you said that was cheap.
I think maybe 2 years ago. I've done kind of a 180 on this. I think maybe 2 years ago that if you would have gotten Lohan at $1 million, it would have been a cheap buy then. But now at this point, I think Playboy might actually be overpaying for Lindsay Lohan. I think Playboy will be doing more for Lindsay Lohan by way of a career boost than Lindsay will be doing for Playboy.
Okay. I mean, Lindsay Lohan is doing community service at the morgue. Do we really want to see this chick naked? And is that really going to help her reputation or her career? I don't think so. Stay away from the parties. Stay away from Playboy. Continue your community service and try to rebuild your reputation on. What?
What are you going to pose in? National Geographic or Time?
No, but I'm saying it's not like she's Marilyn Monroe, where she wasn't, an icon yet or anything. So she could use that to build her career. It was a different situation. So I think at this point she has such a bad reputation posing for Playboy. I mean, it's kind of not.
Well, no, I mean,
unexpected.
Come on, you're being very Republican now. I mean, you're being almost Pentecostal, for heaven's sakes. What's wrong with posing for Playboy? Are you demeaning the female figure?
I don't think there's anything wrong posing for Playboy. I just think Lindsay Lohan, if I was her publicist or working for her or her mother, I would say this probably isn't a smart career move, especially as of right now.
Corey, what do you think?
I told you what I think. I would like to see her.
He would like to see it, but he's a guy, so I don't know.
I have moderate curiosity. I would much rather see
I'd
Kim
probably
Kardashian.
look, but yes, I'd rather see Kim Kardashian as well. Okay, Amanda Knox.
Kim, if you're available, we tape every Tuesday.
Amanda Knox just got out of prison. She was in for 4 years, and she is either has a great sense of humor or is one of the dumbest people in the world because she dressed up as a criminal for Halloween. Again, another person I'm thinking, why can't you just stay home, not go out for Halloween, or if you're going to dress up, do something like an angel. That would be actually more humorous. Or you just get out of prison for murder. I mean, you shouldn't be dressing up as a criminal.
Or you could go as Ted Bundy or Jack the Ripper or John Wayne Gacy. Maybe she misses arriving, fashionably late for lunchroom riots. Who knows? But it's Halloween. She's having fun. Listen, she did 4 years in the joint, right?
There's so many other costumes.
Let her have some laughs. Who's she supposed to go as? Elvira?
I mean, Cruella de Vil. I don't know, something else. Okay, Tinkerbell. There's a bunch of slutty costumes that women can choose from, and it doesn't have to do anything associated with your charges that you just got out of prison for.
By the way, for someone like you, this is a great day to shop. It's the day after Halloween. You get great buys.
Oh, totally. It'll fulfill my wardrobe. Speaking of Halloween, the highest mask that was in demand was Casey Anthony's mask, which I guess O.J. Simpson, when he was on trial, his mask was also very popular, but this is just something that gives me the creeps about wearing her mask and seeing people wear her mask. I personally didn't witness that at all, and I'm very happy about it, but apparently it was in high demand.
I actually had forgotten all about Casey Anthony.
Okay, this is old news.
Anthony, you know, I mean, to me, the Casey Anthony trial was somewhat intriguing, but I've kind of tried to push Casey Anthony off of my radar screen.
All right.
Because I'm still convinced that Casey Anthony is guilty of sin.
Okay. Well, whether or not she's guilty, do you think that that's a little creepy for people to be dressing up as her as Halloween, or do you see the humor? I don't even know how you can see the humor.
I don't see humor, but you know, you got to remember something.
A child was killed.
We're in obviously an era, and you know, shock value has always been part of American society.
Okay.
I mean, what made the Beatles click initially? It wasn't, you know, the fact that Lennon and McCartney were great songwriters. It was the fact that they had long hair. That shocked people back in those days.
Ooh.
You know, what made Alice Cooper work? Shock value. What made Howard Stern work? Shock value. So, you know, somebody showing up with a Casey Anthony mask, it's very minor shock value. That's all it is. That's all we should accept it as being.
Okay. Moving on to politics.
That may have been the dumbest answer I have ever given on this show, and believe me, there are a long line of dumb answers I've given on this show.
All right, well, hey, one more thing about that. You talk about shock value, but I mean, this was not unexpected from Kim Kardashian, not unexpected for Lindsay Lohan to pose for Playboy, and we just keep feeding into it. So I don't really get where the shock value is in stuff like that today.
Because your generation cannot get enough shock value. I mean, if your generation...
I'm saying I'm not shocked.
If your generation,
not shocking.
If your generation really was as bright and as astute as you claim to be, you would look at Kim Kardashian and say, you know what, this broad isn't worth the time of day, get lost. Why is your generation so enamored by Kim Kardashian?
Okay, why were people so enamored by Marilyn Monroe? She was beautiful. She was beautiful.
She could act.
Okay.
Her body was heavenly. It was maybe the most idyllic female figure I have ever seen.
Okay, agreed. But Kim Kardashian
even better than Chaz Bono?
Or you?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, moving forward, politics. Herman Cain is dealing with allegations that he behaved inappropriately towards 2 female employees.
Way to go, Herman.
Yes, NBC News has confirmed that 2 women accused him of inappropriate sexual conduct, and at least 1 woman received either financial settlement or agreement. At first, Herman denied these allegations, and then he came clean and said that there was some sort of agreement or settlement. Tomato, tomato is what he was saying. But my question to you is, you know, sexual harassment, is there a fine line, or is that definite? You know, I'm wondering, do we really know what sexual harassment is?
No, it's very ambiguous.
Society?
It's very, very ambiguous. I once got charged at a radio station with sexual harassment because guys on the air had joked about me mooning somebody the day before.
Okay.
So as I left the office, I walked right by the studio and dropped my trousers. Still had my undies on. Our director of human resources walked right by. He says, no kidding. She charged me with sexual harassment, and I was suspended for 3 days.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, one of the stupidest things you can ever imagine, but I mean, that's how anal our society is.
Speaking of anal.
But I will say this much. Is it gonna harm the candidacy?
That was my other question. Is this going to harm him?
It's like Corey told us before we got rolling. This guy's doing bigger money and drawing bigger support in Texas than Rick Perry, for heaven's sakes.
Okay, that was one poll. But I mean, Clinton dealt with allegations, sexual harassment allegations before too, and I mean, he still became president. I don't really think this will harm him too much.
Let's talk about what Monica was doing with that cigar.
Other than, the fact that he flip-flopped a little bit on this, I wish he would have just come clean from the beginning and said, yeah, there were allegations, there was a settlement, I didn't mean to, cause any issues, yada, yada. So I think the flip-flopping might be a minor issue.
Very, very minor. I mean, for example, if this was election night, Herman Cain against Barack Obama, one game, winner take all, would this in any way affect your feelings about Herman Cain as a choice to lead America as we continue through what so far has been a miserable 21st century.
No, I mean, I'd question his honesty a little bit. That's my only issue. I wish he would have just come clean from the get-go, but no. On policies, none whatsoever.
Then I think it's a non-issue.
Okay.
It's not going to bother me.
Okay. Well, congrats, Herman. You're almost in the clear. Okay, last year, Chicago police officers arrested 23,000 people on misdemeanor marijuana charges, and most of those cases were dropped. I'm wondering if you think whether or not marijuana should be just ticketed. This is something that Chicago aldermen are going back and forth and discussing whether or not marijuana should just be ticketed, as an ordinance that the cops would allow.
All right, point number one, of those 23,000 people who were busted last year, I would imagine 18,000 of those cases were probably thrown out of court.
Okay.
That being said, I was for legalization of marijuana back in the 70s, for heaven's sakes. But there is one concern I do have about legalizing marijuana and selling it over the counter. And that is, if you do that, gangs, junkies, individuals who are dealing in marijuana trafficking, they're going to offer you something different. They're going to offer you marijuana which has been jacked up with LSD, jacked up with some type of chemicals, which is going to give you a stronger hit. So the idea that you will never have a problem with marijuana is ludicrous. That being said, Chicago is screaming for money. We're broke, for heaven's sakes, because Mayor Daley was too busy putting up trees on Michigan Avenue. Rahm Emanuel has the tough 4-year job, maybe 8 or 12-year job ahead, to get this company this city solvent. So, on balance, absolutely. Just ticket people for marijuana. Give them a $50 ticket and let them mail it in. What's the big deal?
I still think this is a long ways of actually happening, though. I don't see Emanuel putting this on his radar anytime soon. But I definitely agree with you.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
And I think if he does,
I think it'd be smart.
it's an indication.
It would definitely help with our deficit, that's to say the least. But
Well, that's what I've admired about Emanuel.
there's a lot of gray areas with this, though. I mean, are people allowed to be, high on marijuana and driving, for example? And it's hard to determine how much weed they've smoked, and so that's why there's a lot of gray areas with this issue.
And we'll explore that next week, right here on Culture Clash, brought to you by our great friends at Athens Motors on Waukegan Road in Morton Grove. I'm telling you, once you stop by Athens Motors, you are in for a full-blown experience. I'm Chad Kopic along with
Catherine Saxon.
We thank you for joining us. We thank our main man, Corey, for his brilliance behind the scenes as always. And we'll catch you next Tuesday. Don't forget, Kim, the invitation is open. So long, everybody.